my command screen?
Yep, I
Okay,
can.
perfect. Okay, just make this bigger. Okay, so to start out, it's really all about email designs today in Command. I've had a lot of conversations with agents around creating their own newsletter, and
Mhm.
this is really essentially for that.
Okay.
But you can send an email and create an email design for maybe highlighting a broker's open or sending out an email to agents about your new listing, anything like that. So sky's
Okay.
the limit when it comes to email designs. Um, it could be an email to your database inviting them to a client event. Just a few examples to rattle off. One thing to note before we dive into that is I just always like to make sure that you have your marketing profile filled out.
Mhm.
So that is going to be located just to pull it up here. When you click your name into settings and then connect settings, your marketing profile. So this is going to feed into if you're pulling in, and we'll showcase this in a little bit. There's a branded header and footer within the email design that you can pull in.
Okay.
Um, and that's where the information is pulling from. It's your marketing profile. So if you're wondering where that email is pulling or that phone number, this is everything that it's pulling from. So just wanted to make note of that before we get in there. But email designs is going to be located in the designs applet. And you can kind of see this is going to pull up every email design that I've created, or maybe I've pulled a certain smart plan and it's going to basically populate all of those like email designs in here as well if I ever wanted to edit those. So that's what I'm seeing in my account right now. So to get started, you'll obviously click on create design. And this is where it's going to pull in, you got a few options: email, social, print, video. But we're really just going to focus on email today. And then next. So there are some various different templates in here. You'll see there's 14. So some of these are pretty much all baked and ready to go. There's content in here, and others are really just templates. The work with me seller, buyer, those are done and ready to go. Buyer conversion, seller conversion. So there are some interesting templates in here if you just want to click around and look and see what's included. That's always a great idea just to give you ideas. But then there's also really kind of listing heavy templates in here. These are great if you want to blast your new listing to a group of agents or just to your entire database. Maybe you're holding an open house and you want to send an email out, or a broker's open. These are really great templates to use. So if you're choosing one of these, let's just choose the open house one. I'm going to click on it and then click next. And then I'll be able to see from here, okay, here's my template. So I'm going to start from the top down. So this right here, this section with this like kind of image and then these merge fields right here, that's the branded header.
Okay.
And this is all going to pull from your marketing profile. So a good kind of thing to do if you want to get a gauge for what this looks like. Up here is a little eyeball icon to preview.
Okay.
When you preview, you're going to be able to see what that looks like. So you can make sure that like, okay, is my image coming in right? Do I have the right phone number or email address in here? Maybe I want to tweak this logo a little bit. It's getting a little scrunched up. Um, just little things like that. And then of course you can see the rest of the template as well. Footer, same thing, pulling from your marketing profile. I have the same logo uploaded for both the brokerage logo and my team logo. So just little things to note like that and how to see how it actually pulls in. So I'm just going to exit out of that. One of the first things though, before you really start designing this, make sure that you're naming this. So if you want to keep the templated name open house, but maybe add in the address 123 Main Street, something like that, especially if you're going to be doing this for every open house you hold or every new listing. It just helps differentiate the emails if you ever want to go back and send something like that out again. Maybe you're holding the same listing open 2 weekends in a row. Again, just for consistency's sake and organizational purposes. Okay, so I've named my email And now I can start kind of finagling this. So anytime you are looking to edit, I can click on the text box or the image box, and you'll see that over on the right-hand side, this is where I can make those edits. So here I can change this to, maybe this is Sunday. I wish it was June. February, is it the 9th? I think February 9th, this Sunday.
Mhm.
And we're doing an open house 11 to 1. So I can make those changes in there. You'll notice I also have some text editing options, some layout options here. So if I wanted to change the font, I do have a limited amount of font options, but there are options. So if I maybe want to, maybe the Times New Roman fits my brand a little bit better in terms of a font, I can change the font size here. I can bold, italicize, underline. I can change the font color, um, the alignment, and then I've got bullet points, things like that. I can add a hyperlink and emojis as well. If I scroll down, this you really don't have to worry so much about. If you want to add a border to this text box, you can. I personally probably don't use this a whole lot, but you'll notice if you turn that on, you can change the border width,
Mhm.
um, color, and things like that. I don't love that look, but again, just options. And you'll notice if I click in here and I make changes, I'm just clicking that back button to get out of that. And then maybe I want to move on to the image. So again, I'm going to click on the image and here's where I can replace it. So maybe you grabbed an image off of the MLS. Maybe it's not your listing. Grab the image off the MLS. Um, or maybe you created your own graphic promoting the open house. Um, or again, it's just the image from the photographer for your listing. But either way, you'll click on replace. You'll notice any image that I've ever uploaded in here is showing up. If I want to pull a specific listing image, I could
Okay.
actually search by MLS number in here and pull that in, or I can manually add images from my computer. So you've
Okay.
got 3 different options there. Super simple. You can add alt text in here. You can also link the image, um, let's say to a web address, and maybe it's linking to your website with that property information. So when in doubt, anytime you're advertising a listing, link back to your website with that listing. Super easy to do. It allows people to search for other properties on your website and view
Mhm.
other pages on your site too. So for example, I'm just going to pull up my command agent site. And I already have a listing pulled up, just for an example to use. So I'm just going to copy and paste that address in here and search for that listing. So then I should be able to grab that. Here we go. Look at that. This one's open. We'll hold an open house this weekend too. So then, okay, here's the property with all the photos, all the details, and yet it's my website. So if anybody clicks elsewhere or they can click on contact me or request a tour, all of those leads are funneling back to me. I don't want to link to this property on Zillow or realtor.com. I
Mhm.
want to get those leads. So I'm just going to grab that full URL at the top there and then go back into command. And then under link to, again, I chose web address. I'm going to paste that link, that entire URL in there, and then I'm going to go. So to kind of utilize that same property, I'm going to go back to replacing that image and choose listing images. And I am going to search, oops, that's not what I wanted. I'm going to search for that listing and pull that in. And I'm going to search by MLS number. I sometimes feel like that's a little bit easier to find it by. And so you can, you'll see that you can search by address or MLS number. Keep in mind the searches all listings across all MLSs. So most of the time it's not going to show up as like the first choice. You may have to scroll down a few times, but it should be in there. Case in point. There it is. So I can click on view. And this is kind of nice because then I can actually, I don't have to copy and paste the photo. I don't have to download it. I can just easily pull it directly from command, creating the email. I'm just going to use the main image and hit replace. Boom, there we go. So I'm going to arrow back and I'm going to move on. So text, I put the address in there. And then same thing with these text boxes as well. So I'd add in, the accurate bedroom, bathroom count, square footage, and the price. Let's say you wanted to remove some of these things, you can certainly do that as well. You'll notice that some of these are kind of like a box within a box within a box. So let's just say I didn't want to include the square footage and the price. I can highlight this box. You'll see it's kind of in blue, and I can click the little trash can icon. That'll remove it. I also have this additional column here. Some of these you might not be able to manipulate as well because it's probably a 2-column layout option. So just kind of keep that in mind. Or let's say you want to remove this whole thing. Click it, it highlights it, trash can. So I'll kind of go through, after this example, I'll go through more of how these layout options work. But again, this is a pre-built template. So this is if you just want something to go off of, and then you can manipulate it however you feel like doing. There's this button here. So if I click on that, I can change that button text. So instead of view listing, maybe I want to say click here for photos. Keep in mind there is a character limit. So if I were to keep typing, that's it. I'm typing, nothing's happening. So just keep that in mind. You're kind of limited to number of characters for that button text. But same thing, link to a web address, enter that same URL in there. For something like this, it does not hurt to link it in multiple spots because you just never know where people are clicking. So I think it's a great best practice to link the photo, have a button with that call to action. And even if you're including additional images, link those as well. You'll notice too the button width. So it's set to a default of fit container. You can choose fill container. That just stretches that box all the way across the email. You can change the background color. So this is kind of nice. You can choose a specific color in here. I also love the eyedropper icon. So if you wanted to pull a different color from your photo, or maybe you've got a graphic that you uploaded that you want to keep the colors consistent, you can easily go ahead and do that. I honestly don't love that green. But again, just an example of some of the things that you can do here.
That's really cool, actually. I didn't know that's what the eyedropper was for.
Yeah, it's super helpful. So even if I work in Canva a lot, and sometimes I'll just have to go and and you can see you can add the hex color here too, but this allows me literally just to pull it directly from an image I already have uploaded.
That's
I don't
nice.
have to go back and look up that hex color. And then you can see you can change the font size, even the text color. If you want to add a border to the button as well. Change out the color of that too. Maybe just white. Yeah, whatever you want to do. That really doesn't do anything, but but just an option if you ever choose to. All right. And then we've got more images in here. Kind of same thing. I think nope, I'll have to search for that again. MLS number. Oh, because I didn't change it to MLS number. So MLS number, search. Here's that listing again. Maybe I want to add some different images. And again, I would link that. I wish it would save the listing that I selected. Well, let's do that nice fireplace. There we go. There's also some dividers in here. So again, same thing with anything that you see in here, you can click on it. If I want to change the height or really the thickness of that divider, I can do that. Same thing with the color. Eyedropper, maybe I want to so I'm going to scroll up here really quick. Grab that same color that I used for that button. Same thing with this one. Change the width and the line color, icon or eyedropper, boom, done. And this is also pulling from your marketing profile. So anytime you see, these are called merge fields,
Mhm.
that's pulling from your marketing profile. Same thing with the legal footer. I know some people don't love the legal footer, how it's laid out, but what they'll do is they'll just copy this text right here. If you have a brokerage relationship, just for compliance purposes, they'll include that just in a text box if they're designing their own email. And then
Okay.
they'll maybe put together like their own footer, whether it's a image in Canva or I'll get into this in a little bit, kind of manipulating it a little bit different with
Mhm.
text boxes and image, like placeholders. So just some options there. Oh, I didn't change that one. Gotta scroll down to get to the right area so I can grab that color. So again, just some really simple ways to kind of really utilize these templates. Always a good idea to preview this. And that's how that would look. A couple things in here. There is a background option. I'm going to get to that in a second when we design our own. But if you wanted to send a test email to yourself before you send this out to anybody else, there are options to either preview, which we did already, or we can send a test email. So this is going to auto-populate with the email that you have in your settings. So basically, this is your reply to email. If you do send emails out through command, where are those responses going? But you'll be able to send a test email to that email so that you can take a look and see what that looks like in your inbox, which is really helpful. Just to, preview is great, but actually seeing it, what it looks like in your inbox is even more helpful to make sure that the content is looking how it's supposed to. You'll also notice over here on the left-hand side, I'm seeing the desktop version versus tablet versus phone. So you can see how how that's going to look on a mobile device. So here I'd maybe want to manipulate this a little bit better. I'd probably want to rework that because that's not showing up as it should. But
So
that's
if you,
also, yeah,
I'm so sorry to interrupt. So if you change something on like the mobile device, it only changes it on the mobile device setting, right?
it should, yeah,
Okay.
in theory. And honestly, I haven't seen it this wonky in this section before.
Yeah.
But that's where I would still go into your I'm like waiting for my test email to come through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there it is. So you could pull this up on your phone, like pull up
Mm-hmm.
your email. I
Yeah.
would test it there. I think that's going to be a better inclination of like what it's actually
Okay.
going to look like on your phone.
Okay.
So when in doubt, like always send yourself a test email and take a look at
Mhm.
it. That would be
Okay.
my suggestion. Like this preview is great,
Hmm.
but I don't fully trust it because you just never know how it's still going to look on your phone. So,
Right.
yeah. All right. So then once you're satisfied with this, it's good to go. Always make sure to hit save. And then you also have the save and close option. But I would say as you're editing, hit save a
Hmm.
few times just for good measure.
Hmm.
And then when you're ready to go out of this completely, you can hit save and close, and that'll save that email. There it is. I can always go back in, just simply click on it and edit. The three dots here will allow you to either rename it, make a copy, or delete. Download template. I don't utilize that as much. I know some teams do, but basically it downloads the HTML email template. So if you do want to share that template with another agent, you could do that. And that's where that import design button comes into play.
Okay.
All right. So moving on to starting from scratch and doing more of a newsletter type of email. So you're going to start same way. Click create design, choose email, and next. But instead of choosing one of these templates, you're going to click on create new template. And all that's going to do is you're going to start from a blank slate. First things first, go ahead and name the email. Name it whatever you would like. Only you are going to see that. And then I'm going to kind of just go through these layout and content options. So if I'm going to do a newsletter, a really good kind of starting point for that would be to either include the legal header, and I'm just going to click and drag that in. You'll see that I've got that green line going across the top, indicating where I'm placing this. I'm going to let go. There it is. Again, click on preview to see what that header is going to look like. Now my logos looks fine. So again, send that test email. That's the true test in terms of what it's going to look like. But if you don't love how that branded header looks, click on it, delete it. If you have your own logo, or if you want to get really creative and design your own newsletter header, that's always really fun as well. So if you're doing something like that, grab the image widget here, click, drag, and I'm going to cancel this for a second because I'm going to go into Canva really quick. So this is just a really simple example of like a newsletter header. Maybe like, let's just say this is your logo and you're titling it Milwaukee Moves. I literally just made that up. It's bad. Don't make fun of me. Lindsay's real estate and community updates. So you can have fun with this, play around. You don't have to have a specific name for it. Whatever feels the most authentic to you and your brand, go for it. Like this, and this is kind of a fun way to be creative and stay in touch with your database. All right, just because I feel like manipulating this a little bit. So let's just say we've got my header. This is what I'm gonna name it, and this is good to go. So then I can download this as an image. And then I'm gonna go back into command. Here's my image placeholder. I'm gonna hit replace. I'm gonna add this image that I just downloaded, and I'm gonna click and drag that in. You'll notice that it shows up down here. You have to click on that first and then hit replace. Boom, there's my newsletter header. I'm gonna add some alt text in here. Milwaukee Moves, Lindsay Brannick. So again, you can link any image that you upload in here. I'm gonna click the arrow. And then maybe I want to include a text box. Again, I'm just clicking, dragging to where I want it. And maybe this is just a brief introduction. This is where ChatGPT comes into play and is really, really helpful. So if you're brand new to creating a newsletter, you need some ideas. Using AI technology is great for creating a newsletter. Type in just a few bullet points of what you definitely want to include, and ChatGPT is going to spit out a really nice, paragraph form that you can copy and paste in here. So you can do something like, Introduction goes here about yourself and what your database can expect to read in your monthly newsletter. Sometimes I don't know, I personally like to left align my text boxes. But again, feel free to make this larger, change the fonts, anything like that. So you've got a text box here. And then maybe we want to include maybe a couple featured listings. And you've got a couple options there. So you'll notice under the content blocks, you've got a listing block. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can highlight a listing. I'll use the listing block first. So I'm going to click, drag, and then I can autofill the listing. I'm going to use that same listing as before. So very similar feature here in terms of if I was pulling in the photos. I'm going to search by MLS number. I think it's all right. So I'm going to scroll down. There it is, view. Same process. Choose the image that I want to highlight, select it, and then it's also going to pull in the address, the price, bedroom, bathroom count, and square footage. Make sure that you're linking that to your website again. So here it is. I have that up still. I'm just copying and pasting that full URL and coming down to link, link to, web address, paste, and done. So that is one option. If you wanted to highlight 2 or 3 different listings, or even more than that, what I would suggest doing, and you can certainly have multiple listing blocks here, you would just click and drag one after the other.
Okay.
But if you're doing, I would say more than 3, it gets a little bit lengthy in terms of like your newsletter. You don't want people to scroll down too much. You want people to read, click on things, that sort of thing. So I'm just going to remove that one. Another option for that is utilizing these layouts. So let's just say I'm going to use the 2-column layout here. I'm going to click and drag that underneath that listing block. And now I've got it formatted where I've got 2 columns. And if I wanted to have 2 listings side by side, I would do something like this. I would have a text box, and I'm just going to start with laying it out. So I'm going to add text in here later. Click back. Same thing over here, text box, and then an image. So I'm going to add that below the text box. I'm just going to cancel that back. Again, just getting that layout how I want it. Click and drag. And then maybe even a text box below that image. Okay, so then it could look something like this. I'm going to click in here, say new listing. I'm going to bold it back. And maybe I want to highlight open house. And then here is where I'm going to replace the image. You can either add it from the listing images here and just for training purpose. Oh, that's not the MLS number anyway. Just for training purposes, I'm going to use the same listing, but pretend they're different. View. We'll use some interior shots. And then this text box, this could be the address. City, state, zip, that sort of thing. And same thing. Replace that image. I'm gonna grab a random listing in Pennsylvania now. Just to kind of see a variation here. And address goes here. All right. So just so that you can kind of get an idea of how that can look. And this does not have to say new listing if you want the address at the top here and then have more of a description of that property down here, or maybe highlighting the bedroom bathroom count. Whatever you want to do, whatever you think would look best. But just wanted to show you a couple different options as to how you can do that. And if I preview this, there you can see how that's going to look. And maybe I want to get a little creative with adding some dividers. So again, I'm just clicking and dragging. I'm going to make that a little thicker. The line color, I'm going to pull from, let's use this blue and this pillow. And then maybe I want another divider. Same thing. Grab that eyedropper. There it is. Boom. So here's what my layout's looking like so far. And just to go through a few of these other content options, kind of touched on the header, the footer, the button. Um, Maybe I want a button below here. Um, and just to show you, as I click, you'll notice sometimes when you're finagling with this, it'll want to go a certain spot, but I want it to go all the way across. I don't want it part of that 2-column section. So just make sure as you're clicking and dragging that you get it where the green line is going all the way across. So
Okay.
now I'm gonna let go. And there's where I want the button to go. I don't want it directly just under here, because if I did that, this is how it would look.
Okay.
So, um, all right. So, and the button could be great use for an event RSVP, a sign up. Maybe if you have like a link tree, maybe that's something you use on like your social media accounts where it's
Mhm.
linking to like your listing and buyer guide, other pages on your website. So many different options there. But that button, again, you can literally link it wherever. Google form. Yeah, so many options. Okay, so we went through the listing block. To show you there's an event block too. Play around with that, see what that looks like.
Okay.
It's just adding an image and changing the text, and then it's already got a button included in there too.
Awesome.
So it's kind of nice if have an event and you want, it's really an RSVP sort of email. It's a great option to use. Video. So let's say you've uploaded videos to YouTube or Vimeo. You'll notice that you have to enter in the video URL.
Okay.
Um, so let's just, for example, go to our YouTube channel and I'm going to grab contract training
For being.
from the other day and I would just hit share and copy that URL. Go back in here, paste that in. One thing is that you do have to change the image. And if you
Okay.
are going to do something like this, my suggestion would be to just take a screenshot of
Hmm.
the video. Um, so maybe it's something like this where
Hmm.
I'm just taking that screenshot and then I can replace it like that.
Okay.
Just an option there.
Hmm.
And then the market snap, I'm going to add that above here. So if you wanted to highlight a specific neighborhood, now keep in mind these neighborhoods are pulling from the Nextdoor app. So some of those boundaries and the neighborhood names are not 100% accurate. I always refer to them as sort of slang neighborhoods. Um, but this is where if you wanted to highlight something like that, um, the header, you can change that from neighborhood trends to whatever you want to call it. And then you're going to enter in a zip code. So you would enter in the zip code, and then you're going to choose the neighborhood based off of that zip code. So I'm entering the zip code for Wauwatosa. So maybe I want to highlight the Tosa Pasadena neighborhood. Now keep in mind, some of these neighborhoods are small, the boundaries are small, and
Mhm.
is not necessarily going to pull in any active inventory. So just keep that in mind and make sure that you're looking at this.
Okay.
Because like for this one, there's only one active listing.
Okay.
Um, so again, just kind of pay attention to that. Um, Pulling the stats from the MLS may be more beneficial,
Okay.
because maybe that's something that you want to highlight in every monthly newsletter is just a market update, whether it's
Mhm.
on kind of the Metro MLS as a whole. You could always pull from the data that is automatically sent out to you via email from the
Okay.
MLS with like average days on market, like I think the home sale price, things like that. Is it on the rise? Is it declining? What does it look like January of this year versus last year? Things like that. That data you can pull easily from the MLS because they send it to you.
Okay.
Um, or maybe
And
you wanna highlight certain communities or
mhm.
municipalities. Um, it's also possible to pull those numbers from the MLS. Um,
Mhm.
for our, Community Pulse magazine, all of the municipalities are listed in there. You can always
Okay.
pull data from that too. It's still very relevant. We're just in
Mhm.
the beginning of February. I think people are still interested to see kind of what home prices have looked like for certain municipalities. Um,
Mhm.
so just some different options and ideas there.
Okay, and the neighborhoods here that you said pull from next door, do
Yep.
those mirror the neighborhoods that you set up for your contacts in command? Are those the same? Do you know?
Those are the
Okay.
same data. Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
The monthly neighborhood nurture email,
Mhm.
it's all pulling that same data from the Nextdoor app. Yep.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. So just wanted to show you all of those different content ideas. But you may not want to include, something like this or
Mhm.
a video. Um, so my suggestion if you are doing a newsletter is start with the template,
Mhm.
determine what do you want this to look like every single month and stay
Mhm.
consistent with it.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got your header at the top, you've got
Mhm.
a brief introduction, a market update,
Mhm.
you got a community spotlight or a business spotlight.
Mhm.
Ideas that I've heard other agents do is what am I reading? What am I watching? What am I listening to? Pick one of
Mhm.
those each month. Share a book that you've read, a podcast you're listening to. Again, you can link to those items as well. Um,
Okay.
it's so many different ideas. The featured listings, obviously, does not have to be your listing. Keep that in
Mhm.
mind. You can always link to your website. Your agent website in Command is a full IDX feed, not even just our Metro MLS, it's across the country.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of some other ideas. Even if you find an interesting article online, you can always
Mhm.
link to that as well.
Okay.
You can utilize ChatGPT to write your own article.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so many different ideas there.
Okay.
But
Thank you so much.
yeah, of course. Thanks, Megan, for hopping on.
Mhm.
Um, but in terms of, I just want to go through how to send this out now because that's,
Oh, yeah.
obviously kind of important. So
That part I have no idea about, so
I'm gonna pretend that this is done, ready to go. I'm gonna save it. And again, send yourself that test email, verify everything looks good. So, few options here. Um, you can either send out an email campaign.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not a huge fan of that because you have to maintain an email list. And let's say if you add new contacts into your database, you have to remember to add them to that email list.
Okay.
Um, I think it's really easy just to create a smart plan,
Okay.
name it monthly newsletter, whatever you want to call it, create
Mhm.
plan. And I'm just going to pop in the send email option
Okay.
because it's just going to be a one-step smart plan. I'm going to choose under email type designs. I'm going to call it my monthly newsletter, or what Milwaukee Moves? Is that
Mhm.
what I made up?
Yeah.
Milwaukee Moves, February edition. You can add emojis to this,
Mhm.
copy and paste, things like that. Yeah. And then email content, select design. It's going to pull up all of your email designs. There we go. It's going to pull it up to the editor. So if you do want to make any final changes, you can.
Mhm.
Otherwise,
Okay.
just like save and close. And then I'm going to add step and save plan. You could get even more kind of savvy with this.
Mhm.
And like, especially if this is a monthly newsletter, you
Yeah.
could even add in a task.
Okay.
You would add day
Mhm.
and you would wait, whether it's like, I don't know, 30 days or
Mhm.
28 days or something like that,
Mhm.
and then create a task that's
Mhm.
literally just create newsletter
Mhm.
so that you get that task reminder of, oh, I've got to do my next month's newsletter, put it
Mhm.
together, and then it sends out, 3 days later or something like that.
Mhm. Okay.
If you could just continue to update that email that's linked in here.
Okay.
Again, something that I just thought of, but you don't
So
have to.
then I'm still like literally learning how to use so many aspects of command. So then you've stated as a smart plan. Is there a way to go in and like to the smart plan and indicate like who you want to send it to so you're not having to like add it to every single contact?
Yes. So
Okay.
once you're done with the smart plan, I'm just going to hit save.
Okay.
I think I did that already. Yeah. Okay. Save, and then I can exit out of there. The easiest way, in my opinion, instead of adding contacts
Hmm.
from this actions, add contact, like if I do
Hmm.
that, you'll notice that it only allows me to view 20 at a time.
Yeah.
So I prefer to go directly into my contacts database
Okay.
and I can show up to 500 contacts.
Okay.
That allows me to just check everybody off.
Hmm.
And I can still also filter too by tags. If you are, specifying by a specific tag,
Hmm.
these are the people who get my monthly newsletter.
Hmm.
But otherwise, you just click on actions because
Okay.
you'll notice if I don't have anybody checked off, nothing shows up here.
Okay.
But once I do, then I see that drop down.
Hmm.
So I'm going to click that, click on add to smart
Oh
plan.
wow. Okay.
I can select my monthly newsletter.
Hmm.
It's going to tell me anyone who I'm missing an email.
Okay.
I can hit remove contacts with errors.
Hmm.
And I'll say, okay, I've got 15 in here. I can
Hmm.
either start it now, meaning it'll just send out immediately, or I can schedule to send it.
Okay.
Don't worry so much about stagger start. That is an option more so for a call plan because you
Okay.
probably don't want to get like 100 tasks to call somebody. So you're really just going to focus on either you send it now or you can schedule it.
Okay.
You're going to say, read the TCPA disclaimer
Hmm.
and confirm
Okay.
and send.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Man,
You're
is so cool.
Yeah, and honestly, like I said in the beginning, this was probably one of my favorite things. They updated email designs about a year
Mhm.
ago, and they've just made it
Okay.
really more simplified to
Yeah.
design.
Yeah.
Um, and I think, it's very easy to put something like a newsletter or, the broker's open house emails, things like that together. So,
Awesome. Cool.
all right. Well, thanks, Megan. I appreciate you hopping on today.
Yeah. Thank you for offering this training. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
You too. Bye,
All right,
Lindsay.
bye.